I would say there's a difference between hypnotherapy and hypnosis.
Okay.
So like hypnosis is something that everyone does, probably hundreds, if not even like thousands of times a day. Like if you get in your car and you just like, have you ever gotten in your car and then suddenly you just like are at work and you're like, oh, how did I get here? I don't even remember driving here. It's like I just got here.
And I know you've told me the example about like getting into a movie and you start
Yeah,
crying and you're like, I know this is fake, but I'm still gonna cry.
Yeah, exactly. Movies, books. There's so many times when people go into hypnosis without even realizing it.
Let's talk tales. Anxiety, depression, exercising bad habits, and postponing achievements. Everyone has or is currently experiencing one of those emotions. Today's Tales with Taylor guest is a certified hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, life coach, owner and founder of Realize Hypnosis here in Scottsdale, Arizona, helping people break through barriers and achieve who they want to be in life. It's Todd Edson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. So tell me the tale of your journey discovering hypnotherapy.
Yeah, so basically when I was younger, I had severe anxiety attacks, like panic attacks where I wouldn't even be able to breathe. I would start hyperventilating from all of this spiraling of negative thoughts. And I went to all of these different therapies. Like, I did talk therapy, I took the drugs, I took everything, and nothing really worked. Nothing really broke through that anxiety, that like spiraling of negative thoughts that led to that anxiety attack. And then one day, I was literally in the doctor's office for something totally unrelated. And this woman from India taught me this method that was basically just like a relaxation technique that was like, okay, just focus on your feet, relax your feet, and then go up and just start relaxing your ankles, and then bring that all the way up and go do that all the way through your body. Like, relax your knees, go up, relax your hips, relax that. And then I did that. And so it was like, do that for like 10 minutes. And it was so much more powerful and beneficial than any of the prescription drugs that I was taking. Anything that the talk therapy, all of these different practices, it was like an offhand comment that she just made that basically changed the course of my anxiety experience. And that really just kind of made me a little bit cynical about normal therapy and just like how things work, because I had been going to counseling and therapies and doing everything that the doctors told me and stuff for years. And this one technique basically helped me to like start overcoming my anxiety attacks little by little. And like I was able to get out of anxiety attacks before they would onset. I would start noticing it. And what that technique does is it basically just takes you, because when you're having an anxiety attack, you're up in your head. You're thinking of all these thoughts, they're spiraling, all these things that could happen, all of this stuff. And it basically just grounds you back in your body, and it makes your mind think about something that's not what's making you anxious. It's not focusing in the future, it's grounding you in the present. And that was such a profound shift that I just completely kind of opened my eyes to what the possibilities were. And I went kind of down a rabbit hole, and just like learning about these different, like basically I went to NAU for about a year. I took like alternative medicine classes. None of this stuff really hit home the same way that one like 5-minute conversation with this lady had. And eventually I just started like really looking into things, and I found people like Tony Robbins, and like he's like one of my favorites. Like he was like one of my like role models, and ultimately it led me to Milton Erickson. And he was like, he's considered basically like the he's like the father of clinical hypnotherapy. And his approach, he practiced from the 1950s to about through the 1970s.
Okay.
And he was basically the best. He was like the best. I call him the GOAT. I think he's the greatest of all time. And he would solve people's problems like that. Like he would have a patient come in and he would solve their problems so quickly and get things resolved. And it was like, it was it's crazy.
So what type of problems, you had your example of anxiety, but what other types of problems, can truly be solved just through the power of hypnotherapy and just changing your mindset?
I mean, it all comes back to mindset. Mindset is basically where everything stems from. And it could really be, I mean, almost anything. Like whatever you want to accomplish, in order for any change to happen, it has to happen on a subconscious level. That's one of the things that I learned in that rabbit hole. Like, in order to make any change, you have to have it sink in on a subconscious level. That's where things like positive affirmations and things come from. It's like you repeat these things over and over and over again, they sink in on a subconscious level, and that's where the change really happens. Yeah. And through hypnosis, you can tap directly into the subconscious mind. You can actually go directly to the source instead of just consciously doing things where it's like, okay, I got to do this 10,000 times and I've got to be constantly on guard. You can make changes much more rapidly and much quicker than your typical therapy. And it's really amazing.
So how does someone even get started? What would be one of your first steps you would tell for someone who wanted to try hypnotherapy as a modality?
Well, we would have a consultation, and then we would basically discuss the problem. Where are the pain points and where are the pleasure points? So we try to take them away from where they are and then see where they want to be. So if you want to, say you're having anxiety or depression or something, you take that point and you say where you want to be, and you try to basically bridge that gap through a series of techniques and different ways. Every client is totally different.
Okay, so it depends on the person.
It's totally a tailored thing. And that's one of the things that I got from Milton Erickson, like I was talking about earlier. Can I tell a really quick story?
Of course, this is your show. You can tell any story.
So Milton, he actually didn't use hypnosis during this part, but it just shows you just what the mind of this, why I consider him the greatest. He was a psychiatrist and psychologist, and he just did everything so well. So this is the story of the African Violet Queen. And so he was in town, he was giving a lecture, I think it was in the 50s or 60s. Anyway, so this guy, it was the nephew, and his aunt was extremely depressed. She had all the money in the world. She lived in a mansion. She was living by herself. She had tried everything, and nothing worked. And it was back then, there wasn't here, pill.
Right.
And so there was no
a
solution.
Good thing either, necessarily. I don't know if that's really a solution
That's
either.
not a solution. That's a Band-Aid. That's a Band-Aid. But he just basically in the and this is how you could tell that he truly just loved helping people. He took time that out of his, and maybe it was 15 minutes, and he went to this lady's house, and he had, back then you would show people around their house, right? And so he went into this lady's house and he was like, here, show me around. And everything was all dusty and dark, and then it was all gloom, and she was just in such a bad place, in such a bad mindset. She had all the money in the world, she had everything, but she was so unhappy and she was so alone. And so he finally gets to this corner of her house that was the only thing that was light, that wasn't dark and wasn't gloom. And it was this African violet. It was it's extremely difficult to grow flower,
yeah.
Right? And he basically turned around and he said, and this woman was very Christian. She was very believed in that. And he said, you know what your problem is? You're not a good Christian. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm not a good Christian. He's like, you haven't been doing things for the church. You haven't been doing things. So he found, that's one of the concepts. And so he found that's why everything is tailored. So it's he found what was valuable to her. She valued that Christianity. She valued that so much. So he hit right there, you're not being a good Christian. And then he took the violet and he said, he wrote it on a prescription. He said, I want you to go buy 30 African violets. And every time someone passes away or has a wedding or does something in the church, I want you to go and I want you to give them an African violet. And it was one of these things. And then that was it, basically. And then he left, and then it was like 10 or 20 years later, and then there was this newspaper that came out, and it said on it, the headline was, African Violet Queen dies, thousands mourn her. And it was like, he had changed her entire life in like 15 minutes with just reframing the way that she was viewing things, putting it into her context, and then basically giving her a tailored prescription. Your prescription is to go start planting more flowers, and I want you to go give these flowers to people. And it shifted the trajectory of her entire life. And it was like thousands of people were like affected by this woman who was just like basically waiting to die in her house.
That's so crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can anybody do hypnotherapy then? Or is it only special people? Or does everyone have the power to, use hypnotherapy for their advantage? Or are we naturally doing hypnotherapy without even realizing it sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely naturally doing hypnotherapy. I mean, I would say there's a difference between hypnotherapy and hypnosis.
Okay.
So like hypnosis is something that everyone does, probably hundreds, if not even like thousands of times a day. Like if you get in your car and you just like, have you ever gotten in your car and then suddenly you just like are at work and you're like, oh, how did I get here? I don't even remember driving here. It's just like I just got here.
I know you've told me the example about like getting into a movie and you start crying and you're like, I know this is fake, but I'm still gonna cry.
Yeah, exactly. Movies, books. There's so many times when people go into hypnosis without even realizing it. And Hollywood and the entertainers of it have really messed up a lot of like the idea of hypnosis.
Making your job harder for you.
Yeah.
People, if we do a therapy session right now, you're just going to do mind control, or not?
Yeah, right. It's all mind control.
It's going to make me act like a monkey. I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to have to bark and it's like, and it's such a powerful tool that like, so back like when they were actually studying it, like the American Psychiatric Association like did a study and they found that 93% of people after about 6 sessions would find success.
Wow. 93% after 6 sessions in comparative to maybe, I think it was 20 something sessions I thought of regular talk therapy.
22%, 22 sessions yielded a 72% with
so
basically
not even
cognitive
as high as a
behavioral
percentage
therapy. But that's still actually pretty good numbers. It's like it still takes a long time, but it's like the entertainers kind of mess it up. And when you compare that to psychoanalysis, which it takes over 600 sessions to get a 38% success rate.
Wow.
And so it's not even close. And when I started to look into this kind of stuff, it blew my mind that it wasn't a core principle in psychiatry. Why
is that, you think? Why do you think that, hypnotherapy isn't the top modality for people who are having anxiety, depression?
Honestly, I don't want to sound cynical, but I think the pharmaceutical industry and a lot of different factors play into it. And I think that psychiatrists are benign. I think that they have the best intentions. I think that they're trying to do good with what they have. And a lot of it has been that it's been kind of suppressed. A lot of the mainstream psychiatric and psychology worlds just kind of pushed it down and kind of pushed it as like a pseudoscience, because when you look around and you see people that are on stage like clucking like duh, like
that doesn't help at all. I've definitely attended parties before where they've had, a hypnotherapist or not a hypnotherapist, a clown, I almost want to say, instead, because they weren't helping people. They were just trying to make fun of people whom were easily suggested. As I remember, we all had to stand around and be able to have our fingers together or something like that. And then he pinpointed people
that were most suggestible. Yeah.
And it's just like, it made me think about people like yourself who are truly trying to help people. And then, I had my friend, they made him go on a roller coaster or something. And she's terrified of roller coasters and started crying and freaking out. And it's how can we better educate the world the difference between those show clowns, I'm just going to call them that,
Yeah.
and actual physicians who are certified and trained and are there to truly help people?
That's a difficult question because people have Hollywood too. So it's like after with entertainment came Hollywood. They're like, oh, mind control. That's a great plot device. So then they use the hypnosis as a plot device for movies. And that really reinforced the mind control aspect. That was in James Bond movies. That was in everything where it's like, oh, it's hypnosis. Just watch this watch for 3 seconds. And then you're going to be able to do whatever I want. Go rob a bank, do this or that, which is totally unrealistic. And it's not even...
It would almost have to be within that person's subconscious mind to want to do that. Is that correct almost? That it would have to be within the person's subconscious mind.
You cannot make someone do something that they do not want to do. So it's like a lot of the time, so even in the entertainment things, those people are going up there with intentions like, oh, I want to have fun and let loose, and I'm gonna enjoy this, and just I'm gonna allow him to do this. It's gonna be fun. And then the hypnotist, the entertainment hypnotist, would basically use that and then have them do all this crazy stuff, which is like the people were totally willing, but he kind of, in a way, manipulated their intentions. And that's kind of where...
It's not fair.
Yeah.
That is not fair. And so I really do hope that we can, through mediums like this, like really educate people, the difference, be aware of the difference, and know that this is a true modality that can help people. Yeah,
that's the main thing for me is I was almost angry about it. When I first found out and figured out about it, I was kind of angry that like, this modality and this thing that could be helping so many people, we could actually figure out like a way to get depression and anxiety and get to the core root of it. Like, cause like one of the things about Milton Erickson, it's like he's solution oriented, which is totally different than being problem oriented. With a lot of therapies are problem oriented. You focus on the anxiety, you focus on the depression, you don't focus on a solution. The solution is like that to me, that's one of the reasons why I think Milton Erickson was the greatest hypnotherapist, psychiatrist, whatever of all time, because he was so good at doing that. Just with like the example I gave, he was able to take this person and then use that value system and take the only glimmer of light that she had in her entire home, that flower, and that was the solution. That was the ray of light. And you go towards the ray of light instead of diving into the darkness. I don't need to know all the darkness. Like, let's go towards the light,
Yeah, go towards the light, hence the gold in your logo, that we want to go towards the light and realize hypnosis. You want to help people realize that there is a modality that is drug-free, that is, they're able to access it at any time. And so when people work with you, are they able to learn things that they can do at home on their own? Maybe you're not going to be in their pocket necessarily every moment a trigger occurs. And are you going to, what do you do with your patients that you help? Yeah.
So basically you got to learn to start taking the unconscious thoughts that we have. So everyone has typically about like 50,000 to 80,000 thoughts every day.
That's exhausting.
And they're largely cyclical. They repeat, they become automatic. Like we have a trigger, some sort of something that happens, whether it's our boss coming up to us, and then we have a thought and an emotion reaction to that usually leads to some sort of action. So say your boss is coming down the hallway and you have some sort of thought in your head like, oh, I don't know if I've done enough work, or maybe my boss doesn't like me or something like that. And that's an automatic thought that happens. And then you feel this emotion. Maybe you have a sinking feeling in your stomach, and then you decide to avoid your boss, or you decide to do something like that. And a lot of this, about 80% of our behaviors are actually subconscious. They're triggered by the subconscious. So once you address that, like you really start to be able to, once you become aware of that, you're able to really see how much power you have over your own life, and like stop living in a world where like that boss that's walking down the hall is controlling how you feel.
Right.
Right, because we
only have one life, and there is a fine line between, being selfish and selfless. And, it is that thing where you can't allow a boss walking down a hallway to cause an episode every single time.
Yeah.
Because also that boss may not be saying anything bad. They may not even be talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. It may not be a big deal. It's like maybe he's coming to compliment you, and instead you avoid the situation. And once that becomes like an automatic response, it's difficult to change witithout really getting into the heart of it, and that ultimately leads back to the subconscious mind. Is really the thing. And people can change. I think affirmations are really amazing, especially with these limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are like a detriment to people. Like, and the core, I think that one of the main like limiting belief that people have is ultimately that they're not good enough, or that by being not good enough that they're not going to be loved, or in some way.
Why do you think we get these limited beliefs? Why are we so negative on ourselves as an instant reaction, you think?
I don't know. I think largely societal norms and different things play into it, but
Photoshop really screwed up our minds a little bit.
Yeah, social media and stuff is definitely not helpful. Like, you can use it to your benefit or to your detriment ultimately. Like, I love social media, but I like watching motivational videos and doing stuff like that.
And basketball.
Yeah, stuff like that, where it's positive and it's really good. But a lot of people fall into this trap of the algorithm, and how the algorithm works is ultimately negativity gets you more clicks ultimately. And so this negativity bias in the algorithms really messes with people's heads without them even realizing it.
That's true. You are so correct though. With the negativity gets more clicks. Just look at our news. I don't even follow news because I don't feel like I actually ever get news. I just get scare tactics and just things that I guess are newsly, that something bad happened on the West Valley or whatever, but I don't really need to be reminded all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, with that, like, what's a tale you wish you would have told your younger self? What's something you wish you would have heard younger?
That there were other options, and that to kind of widen my perspective on things, and to not be so closed-minded to, Eastern thought, to a bunch of different things. Honestly, my younger self was... I was kind of a wild kid. Once I just kind of like didn't think it worked, and then I was like kind of like a rebellious towards the whole concept of like even getting help, and to the point where it was like the whatever the anti-anxiety medicine was, it's easier to just take that than to do something else. Until I met that one lady, and it was like a switch got flipped kind of, and it was like, wow, this has been there the whole time. And that's where I got really kind of angry, where it was like, why haven't I been told this? This seems so easy, and it's so powerful. Even just doing a relaxation exercise can get you out of a full-blown panic attack where I was literally hyperventilating, and then 10 minutes later I'm fine. And that's a strategy that you could give to people, but that people don't have access to. Your therapist doesn't usually tell you these kind of things. And there's a whole world that's just more open to dealing with the actual problems and getting to the root cause of the problems and having a solution, rather than trying to keep you on pills forever, and to keep you on all of come in every week, talk for a couple hours or an hour, and then you're magically gonna get better. When in reality, when you look at the statistics, that's not really the case. And for a lot of people, they'll go through years of therapy and years of taking medication and get no actual progress. And that is the part that kind of just like lights a fire in me. It like really. You should be focused on a solution. You should be trying to help this person to get over the problem, trying to get them to have the resources within themselves, giving them the tools that they need to actually succeed, to actually get to where they want to be. And if their goal is to overcome anxiety or depression, or to be better in social settings, or to whatever it may be,
right,
you should be trying to give them the tools necessary to accomplish that. That's really
right. Just like a business has KPIs, key performance indicators, to say, okay, we're hitting our goals. It's sounding like, you know, both as the individual and the physician, like you need to have kind of KPIs within your working relationship, you know, and after X number of sessions working together, I want to be able to go to this store without having anxiety. Yeah. Is that what you're kind of saying? That you should almost come up with those KPIs as a,
Absolutely. I give multiple audios, hypnotherapy, like hypnosis audios that my clients use, and I give like weekly tasks that they do. And my ultimate goal is so that they don't ever have to see me again, because if I've done my job, they shouldn't have to see me again. I mean, I'm always open. They can always come back, but it's like, I'm hoping that they have the tools they need. They have everything they need, that when the next time that this situation comes up, or the next time that I'm having an anxiety attack, I have the tools that I need to get out of that anxiety attack and truly overcome the problem, instead of staying in this cycle of taking pharmaceuticals and going back, and it just never ends.
Yeah.
And that's really what I experienced. And that like contrast is what I really tried to drive home, is that like my goal is to have it so that you are self-sufficient, and that you are able to feel good enough about yourself, and you're able to overcome these different obstacles in your life. And the next time an obstacle comes up, that you have the tools necessary to overcome them, you know?
No, I do love that. And I love that about you, that you really do want to help people not be forever clients. You want to make sure that they, you know, reach their goals and can take what you've taught them and move on with their lives. You know, it's so great. It's like that one dating app, like, I'm meant to be deleted. You know, it's like, you're almost like, yeah, like you're meant to be not necessarily deleted, because you should be remembered as a resource, but that, you know, you don't need to keep that Tuesday at 10 o'clock session for the rest of your life, you know? Absolutely. And I know you are so much about value and so much about giving people resources, you know, on the description and on the show notes here on the website, you know, you can get so many fabulous workbook downloads. Like, why did you feel it was so important to give people so much good resources to just run with right away? Like, you have an overcoming anxiety workbook, you have the weight loss workbook, you know, you have a goal setting workbook, you know.
Yeah, I really just thought that like people need to be able to be self-sustaining, and everyone has the resources within themselves. They just haven't necessarily tapped into them yet. And once you're like out of the mindset of like being, you know, a lot of times it has to do with identity too. So it's like when you're no longer identifying as someone like that's depressed or anxious, and it's like you realize that this is something that's outside of you. Like, yes, I become anxious, but I'm not an anxious. I'm not an anxious person. I am not depression. Depression is just something that occurs to me sometimes. And once you can get that separation, and I've really felt like these things were out there, but they were kind of being held behind walls. Like, they're like, whether it was a paywall, whether it was other therapies, and it's like, these are things that people really need, and people are struggling, because I was one of them. I've struggled with actually both anxiety and depression at different points in time, and it's like, you like to do that is, I just don't think that it's right. I feel like you need to give people the resources, and I can help get you there faster. Like, but ultimately you're gonna have to do some of this stuff on your own. And if you really want to overcome anxiety or depression, the resources should be there for you.
Yes, and I think people do need to be okay with asking for help. I know that it's been getting better, but I think there's still a heavy stigma when it comes to, like you even said yourself, almost when you were younger, you were a little against help, and you know, there's that stigma of like asking for help. I know Dr. Valerie Kendong and we've partnered on a Forgotten Healthcare documentary series where we talk about mental health being the forgotten healthcare. And absolutely. You know, it's so you know, what do you think we can do as a community to help break down that stigma and let people know that it's okay to get help and to even seek out more holistic help like yourself?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I would say we need to we need to allow for some sort of mechanism to let people know that what they're feeling is natural. What they're going through is like they're not alone.
Right.
There's a lot of people that feel this way. There's a lot of people that have problems with especially isolation and different things.
So if only we
today.
posted more of that on social media.
Yeah.
We only post the vacations, the weddings, the birthday parties, the, celebratory times. Very rarely do we post.
Yeah, and the comparison is such a killer. I mean, there was this study that so like we all evolved from monkeys, and it's like that whole thing. So there was a study done where they basically had these two monkeys do a test, right? Okay. And it was they completed the same task. They both did it successfully. Mm-hmm. One of the monkeys was given grapes, mm-hmm. and the other monkey was given a cucumber. And the monkey that was given the cucumber got so incensed and angry and started throwing through the cucumber and started lashing out against the cage because he didn't get the grapes. And that's essentially what social media does. We're unconsciously comparing ourselves mm-hmm. to everyone constantly. And people only post the best versions of themselves on social media. And so when we feel like we don't, like, why do they have this and I don't have this? And why are they so good looking? Or why do they have this life? And it's like we do this unconscious comparison thing, and it's built into our DNA. Mm-hmm. It's on a genetic level. We can't help but compare ourselves. And social media has amplified that to such a degree that it's really hurt the self-esteem of a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, that's why at least they need to follow your socials, because you at least provide some tips on how to help people, keep on the right mindset and to,
Yeah, you too, I think. Also, it's like both are available. Mm-hmm. It's just that a lot of the times when you have that emotional reaction, that's what gets you to click. And so you've got to kind of make a conscious effort to go towards the stuff that's like positive and stuff that's like motivational.
It was like Pandora. I was always very conscious of like, do I really put a thumbs down or a thumbs up? Do I really want the more genre music?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, along the lines of music, I know you are very much into music, and beyond doing, this wonderful hypnotherapy work, you are going to possibly be a rapper? Right?
Yeah. So after I left NAU, because I'd basically given up on the whole idea of helping people in any meaningful way, because it was like, I went to the alternative medicine classes and different things, and none of that seemed like a solution to me. It just didn't. And so I was like, what actually helped me was music. I used music in so many different ways, and it was Eminem that really, like, in NLP, there's something called modeling, where you model yourself after certain people, or you do you basically, someone that you admire and you take on their characteristics and kind of learn. So it's like, I kind of learned my own self-confidence and my own like ability to kind of get out there through music and a bunch of different genres of music, but like, especially hip hop. And so I just decided that it was like, I have to follow, there's something inside me that I have to follow, that it was so compulsory that I just like, I couldn't help it. And if I didn't do it, I felt like I would really regret it for the rest of my life. And so I decided to leave NAU. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Scottsdale Community College, and I was a part of the first hip hop class that ever existed. And I did studio recordings with a rapper that had a hit and was like an LA rapper who had a hit. His name is Candyman. Okay. And he was...
Not to be confused with the horror movie.
Not to be confused with the horror movie. This is like 1993, the song Knockin' the Boots, I think it's called. So and I went on stage in front of thousands of people and did all this stuff, and it was great, but I realized that it wasn't actually what I was looking for.
I'm about to say, what got you back then into helping people?
Well, I realized what I was looking for in the hip hop music was what I got, and that was that basically what I got from the music, and that was the help that I needed. Mm-hmm. That was the ability to really be myself and to step into the role that I knew I should be in, and to follow the path that maybe is less traveled, but it's like I need to follow that path. And so I'm like, what I was really looking for was to try and help people. It went back to that original goal of like why I went to NAU and didn't find a solution there. But it was like, and that sort of led me down the path to hypnotherapy. Yeah.
So how does someone become a certified hypnotherapist? You know, is there a certain school you go to? Are there courses you take, you know, or do you just start calling yourself that one day?
Well, that's sort of one of the problems in the field, is that it is largely become, it's kind of like the wild, wild west right now, where it's like there's not enough regulation. There's not enough licensing. There's not enough like really, really good places. So I got lucky. So I went to the Southwestern Institute of Healing Arts,
Nice.
SWIHA, and it was amazing. It was like everything that I was looking for. And it was like teaching me all of the things that's like, it was like one of those moments where it's like, you know, like that aha moment where it's like everything just clicked. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is what I was looking for. And Linda Bennett was my teacher. She's amazing. And you have to do, she makes you do so much more. So there's a lot of hypnotherapy.
Shout out Linda.
Yeah, shout out Linda. There's a lot of hypnotherapy and I call it, I make a big distinction between a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist personally.
Okay, yes.
Like, because a hypnotherapist has to deal with multitudes of different things, where a hypnotist can just kind of like, okay, you're going to go, you know, relax, rest, and then I'm going to do this for you, and then come back in a week, and then you can lay down again, and I'm going to do this for you. And it's basically like a Band-Aid. It does the same kind of thing as the pharmaceutical drugs. It might take away your anxiety for a week or a month, but it's going to come back.
Because it's not subconsciously changing the way that you're thinking, correct?
Yeah, because it's not, I mean, it changes the subconscious, but it doesn't work with the conscious mind enough. Okay. And hypnotherapy, in my opinion, you have to be able to have a back and forth. So if I put someone into a trance, or if I put a hypnotic state, I want to have conversation. We need to go back and forth. Get to the actual root cause of the problem, rather than just saying you are feeling free and you are feeling relaxed, and the next time this happens, you go back and you figure out what is the actual core issue, what's holding them back, and you address those things through dialogue while they're in hypnosis. That way you get the conscious mind involved and the subconscious mind involved. And when you do that, that is where the magic happens. That is where the changes happen, not only rapidly, but they are extremely profound, and people realize the things about themselves that they didn't even realize were problems. Like they'll get to the actual root cause of what like is making them feel a certain way. And they'll have that aha moment. And to me, it's such a beautiful moment when they realize that feeling of like, oh wow, I get it now. That's why this was happening. And then they could start, their whole brain starts to just restructure itself, basically. And on a subconscious level, it not only changes, but it happens on a conscious level as well. And when that happens, that's when like the real change happens. That's when it's like, boom.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And you can remove limiting beliefs and negative emotions and different things like that.
Yeah, and you said things like, you know, quit smoking, which, my goodness, you know, I've known many of people who have tried to quit using the nicotine patches or the various types of medications. So that's great. Weight loss, you know, because I think weight loss definitely is such a mindset thing. You know, are you going to eat that or eat this? Are you going to go exercise or just sleep in, you know? And so, you know, the anxiety, the depression, you know, I'm sure even if I just had a tangible goal of like, I want to earn $100,000 more, are you able to use those same therapies, but just in a customized way to even help with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So how many times have you, I'm sure that's happened to you where it's like I'm going to make this change. I'm going to make it. This time is the time. And then it's like the gym is a perfect example. I'm going to go to the gym, and then you go to the gym for 2 weeks, and then it's like, I'm not going to go to the gym anymore.
You easily make excuses for yourself.
You start making those excuses. They start coming back. And so you can go directly in and start changing those subconscious beliefs and these patterns of beliefs that we've held on to. Mm-hmm. And then you can make these behavioral changes that have a lasting impact. And so whatever it is, so like these habits, so like I said, about 80% of our behavior is triggered by the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. So that subconscious pattern of, no, I don't want to go to the gym. It's so much easier to just sleep in. It's so much easier to just do this. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll do this later. That kind of thing it's easy to change when you get down to the nuts and bolts in the subconscious and conscious mind. So when you want to make a change, you got to have that leverage on yourself. You've got to get to the point where it's like, you know what? No, I need to lose weight. And then you start to make the conscious changes. So it's great that people want to go to the gym, but you also don't want to overdo it. Mm-hmm. You don't want to put too much on your plate too fast. Mm-hmm. And you can, if you can make a change on the subconscious level, it makes the ability to change just much more fast and rapid. And you won't necessarily have those setbacks where it's like you go back to square one. Mm-hmm. Or you go to the gym for 2 weeks and then you give up. Mm-hmm. It's much easier to actually make that change stick because your subconscious mind is no longer fighting against you. Yeah. It's like putting yourself back together. It's like, okay, part of me wants to do this, but part of me really wants to stay in bed. Yeah. And so it's like putting your mind and your body and your subconscious mind on one page. Mm-hmm. You can accomplish anything.
And it sounds to me, as you're telling me this, that it doesn't always have to come from a negative thought. It doesn't have to be the negative, I have depression, I experience anxiety, I need to lose weight. It can be the more positive of like, I want to have a successful business. I want to have a better relationship with my children. I want to have these positive things. And you could still use those same therapies with you to reach even those positive goals. So you don't even need to come into it with a negative feeling is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that for me, it was largely like, yeah, absolutely. Because to me, I honestly kind of, I did a lot of these techniques and stuff without even realizing it. Mm-hmm. I was like, trying to figure things out. I mean, I went from anxiety attacks to like performing in front of thousands of people. That's not an easy thing to do. You've got to like, I had to like really diligently watch over my mind or keep guard over my mind and just keep going and going and keep trying to change basically until it sunk in on a subconscious level. But when you can use hypnotherapy and you can do both at the same time, it doesn't take that long to get yourself on the page to wherever you want to go. So if you want to achieve a certain goal, you can do it. And you know that you can do it. Once you get rid of the limiting beliefs, especially, you know that you could do it. And then once you have that knowledge and you feel like you can do it, then it's like, it's magical. It feels like the world opened up all of a sudden. And it's like, yeah, I can be a successful business person. I can do what I want to do. I don't have to, give up something or lose some part of myself, or I'm not good enough is ultimately a lot of what it comes down to. But yeah.
Nice. What are some of your favorite tales you've ever read or watched? So your favorite book, favorite movie?
Let's see. Well, my favorite movie, that one's an easy one. It's The Dark Knight Rising, the one with Heath Ledger. Oh, yeah, that's my all-time favorite movie.
That was a good one.
I love that movie. And so what was the other one?
Favorite book or favorite movie? But yeah, my favorite movie, that's a good one.
My favorite book, I would say, is The Compound Effect.
The Compound
by
Effect.
Darren Hardy, and it's basically is a thing about habits, and it breaks it down into small things. And so any change, really, whether it's weight loss, whether it's trying to run a successful business, don't take super long strides. Don't try to overdo it. Don't try to, okay, I'm going to start losing weight, so I'm going to go to the gym 3 times, like 3 times a day or whatever, and try and keep this up. You're going to burn out. It's not going to work. So if you're not working out at all, maybe just try going for a walk around the block and then build from there. It's like, I personally did that. I used to have weight problems too. And so like I would go for a walk around the block with my dog. And then eventually I would do this thing where I would like walk, and then we would run a block, and then we would just keep that walk going. And then you just keep adding and adding on. And eventually, and I always hated running. It was one of the things that I thought that I hated. And it turns out that I actually love it. I actually love running. And it was like that.
Are you going to do a marathon anytime soon then? Are you that much of a lover?
Not that much of a lover of it, but it's something that I need to do every day. I like to run every day. So.
That's good.
Yeah, but like, the compound effect basically lays out that kind of approach for it. Is basically make a small steps and just keep incrementally building upon those small steps. Like instead of having, a big piece of cake after dinner, you can have a small piece of chocolate or substitute that. And it's like make small steps, and they grow into big steps. And that's really it was just very powerful for me.
I love that. Yeah, no, it's very true. Everything gets a little easier, whether it is the exercising or the dieting or anything, the more you just consistently do something, it becomes a little more like second nature, becomes more in your subconscious. And then you can just do it anytime. And so as we're getting closer to come to a close here, what's something you really want to leave people with, whether it be, just a tip or just a aspiration or something to just help them live a better life?
I would say just go and try, and don't be so hard on yourself. I think that people are so hard on themselves these days, and they put themselves up against like extreme standards that aren't realistic. And I think that if people gave themselves a little bit more wiggle room on things and a little bit more like grace in their ability to achieve what they want, that you can get there. Everyone doesn't perform at the same speed. Maybe it takes you a little longer to get there, but you could still get there. You could still achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. I think that would be the main thing, is that people really need to just kind of just take a look at themselves and not be so hard on themselves, because especially in this social media age, people are so hard on themselves, and they give up before they even try. They'll give up parts of themselves when they don't need to.
Or make excuses why things won't work when you haven't even attempted.
Haven't even tried.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like this quote. I think it's like, when you don't risk anything, you risk more. It's like there's a lot of...
you miss every shot you don't take.
Yeah, you miss every shot you don't take. Yeah. Those kind of things, and that's really what I would say, is that you have the power to change your life. You have the power within you. You don't need anything external. Everything is within your ability to succeed or make a change or to find success in whatever you're doing. Find happiness. You don't have to live in a place of unhappiness. You can change and reprogram your mind to be happy, even in stressful situations, even when things are going bad. It's like, it's impossible to feel gratitude and anxiety and depression at the same time. If you focus on what's good and you focus on like what you're grateful for, whether it just be like the sun hitting your face or having a friend, even just the little
having a gratitude journal's helped me a little bit. I feel just those little things sometimes, because you got, even on a stressful day, you got to look and be like, well, at least I have clothes on me, or at least I have a warm house, or at least I have this,
Everything is perception, and you'll see, like, you will find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for bad and how bad life is, you're going to find how bad life is. You're going to find that. It's like if you look around the room and I said, how much do you see the color blue? And then you look around the room and it's like, oh, I was
scared. I'm like, oh no, what are you going to say bad about my studio?
You look for the color blue, and then I say, okay, now how much red did you find?
Yeah.
You're not going to, you'll probably come up empty.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for the blue. instead of
just
looking,
like you get a new car, everyone has the same car now.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking for more of the positive, your ability to find the positive in life is enhanced.
And attract the positive and be nicer to yourself. I know Tim Ferriss, his podcast, he always ends with, let's always try to be just a little bit kinder to ourselves than what may feel necessary.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's so true because, we are our own worst critics. We are so mean to ourselves. I always feel like sometimes we got to think like, would you treat, the way you're treating yourself, would you treat another person?
Yeah.
You always want to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
even to take that even a step further, it's one of the things that I use in my hypnotherapy practice is how would your dog or your best friend, how would they look at you? How would they view the situation? What would they say to you? And are you saying that to yourself, or are you putting yourself down, or are you like doing that, like kind of trying to shift the perspective?
Now, granted, I'm sure a dog would always have a more optimistic view on anything.
He just wants you to be happy. He loves you, So it's like, yeah.
Would a dog be your favorite animal with a tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling with that
person.
one. Oh gosh, I think I'm getting outnumbered here if we were tallying dog to cat, but okay.
I think cats are cool too. I do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think dogs are all right. I like to be an aunt to a dog, hang out with them, play with them when they poop, go to the owner and say, you got to fix this. Well, Todd, this was such a pleasure. And I really just thank you for everything that you do for people. Again, I love that your goal is for people not to be forever clients of yours. Your goal is to help people reach their goals, whether it's anxiety, depression, losing weight, stop smoking, start a business, have a more successful relationship, literally any goal that people want to have and they want to achieve. You can help them by just fixing what's up here.
It's all mindset. Yeah. And I really want to thank you. I think that your podcast is amazing. I think that what you're doing here is, it change lives. It helps people. It gets the word out, and I can tell that you're coming from a place of genuineness and passion, and I really admire you for, it takes a lot to stick your neck out to do this kind of a thing. I think that's amazing.
Well, thank you, and I'm just grateful for people like you in the community that have great stories to tell and great information to share with the community, because that's really the goal, is to just make this a happier, more successful community as a whole. So whatever success is in your mind, write it down. I believe it's not real unless it's written down. Write down those goals and then maybe seek out people who can help you reach those goals, whether it's someone like Todd and having a hypnotherapist to just visualize and get you to where you need to go, or having a CPA just to help you with your finances, whatever it is. You just got to build a team, because when you look at any successful endeavor, it's a team involved, any successful sports team, it's the team. Yeah. I even had the opportunity of interviewing a wrestling coach that's getting inducted in Chandler Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
And even an individual sport, one would think is an individual sport. I said, what makes them, winning? It's a team that loves each other, he said. So even an individual sport, he said, it's a team that loves each other, and coaches. Yeah. So find your team members to help you reach your goals, and make sure you download whatever free workbook is going to benefit you. As you can see, Todd is definitely giving away a lot. So thank you so much for your time today and for being here. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.